Okay, well, here's our grapevines. I pruned them pretty good. I still got some left to do. What I want to do here, though, get all this debris out from underneath it, and then I'm going to take the Mantis tiller and till it very lightly, and then put down some long-term plant food for it. So anyway, I'll get raking and be right back. Well, we've got this debris all raked up here, so get ready to get rid of it here. Well, here's all the grape branches we've removed. Here's the ones we just cleaned up from underneath the weeds there. Now you notice I'm throwing weeds in here. Don't put weeds in your compost. They're real hardy and they'll try to grow in it, so burning them is the best way to get rid of it. So stay tuned for a Learn from the Burn video coming up soon. Okay, well, we got that cleaned out pretty good. Next thing we want to do is do some weeding. If there's some weeds in here, we got a few. This is an old time-tested tool. It's been around forever. They work really good. Push it down next to the weed and lift it up and pulls it out. It's got most of the roots on it. But one thing you can do to make these work a whole lot better, tapered edge here for cutting, but as they come from the factory, they're real dull. So we'll just take a little file here, put a nice little edge on there. See that nice shiny edge right there? That'll cut a whole lot better. Well, what we want to do is go right down along the root, push like this, cut off the root way down there so it won't come back. Anyway, be right back. Okay, well, the next thing we're going to do is put down some minerals and good stuff for it here. This is a tree and shrub mix, 344. You only need to do this in the spring once. So, anyway, we'll get that put on there. There's a little bit of grass in here, but I'm going to till it up so it'll be fine. So make sure that the wind's blowing the dust away. You don't want to breathe that in. And you don't put it right on the main roots. Put it around so that it can draw it in over time. Okay, well, get the tiller started and be right back. Okay, well, we got that all mixed in there pretty good. I think we hit one little root right there, but it didn't hurt anything. Then I wanted to do right along here to cut the grass so I can put down a barrier to keep the grass from growing under here. And anyway, be right back. Okay, well, our last thing we're going to do, put down some shredded straw. It holds the moisture in and keeps the weeds out pretty much. So there we go. Okay, well, another project here is our raised bed. The wall is pushing out on it. The reason for that is that the soil we bought, which is topsoil supposedly, wasn't very good. I bought it from other places and they're a lot better. This stuff, I've been working on it, trying to get it better. And got a lot of small rocks in it, got a lot of clay in it, and so just isn't, I mean, food and stuff grows in it okay, but it's really hard to manage. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to dig this all out, put the wall back, and since it's got a lot of clay and rocks in it, a regular shovel doesn't really work too good on it, so I'll show you. Take quite a bit of force to get down there, and you can see it clumps together really bad. And, so anyway, I was thinking, well, gee, what's the best way to get around that problem? And I thought, well, you know, the little Mantis tiller tills the soil up and aerates it really nice. So I'm going to take the tiller up here and run through there, break that all up. And I'll use this type of shovel to scoop it out and be a whole lot easier. So, be right back. See how nice that is? So, work smart. Be back later and talk about the tiller and some mods on them to do if you own one. Anyway, this is the easy way. My favorite. Okay, well, at the end of the video here I want to do a little talk about the Mantis tiller. Even though it's not vintage, it sure is handy. One thing I'll say about it, it's the best thing I never bought. What do I mean by that in layman's terms? It was a gift. I didn't buy it. I always thought about buying one, but never got around to it, so some kind and generous people donated it to us. So anyway, it had very few hours on it, and it was given to them by some relatives, and even though they had a big garden, they just didn't want to use it, so anyway, they gave it to us. So, okay, well, some things that needed a carburetor rebuild, which is typical anything that sits, with the lousy gas that we have today, and new spark plug, and you know, cleaned the gearbox and put fresh oil in it. So anyway, the thing with the red armor oil that's kind of unusual is it has a really high film strength and sticks to everything. So I'll show you what I needed to do to this. Now when I got it, it did not have an air filter in it, and so this is the type of air filter they use. It's made out of a cloth material. And you can see it's red. And so what that's from is the red armor oil is red, obviously. But these little high performance engines are a piston port design, and so what happens when the piston is moving down the bore, some of the pressure in the crankcase pushes up and pushes some of the two-stroke and air mixture out into the carburetor, and it gets all over in here. What that does, it restricts the airflow, and so they were having trouble with it not running properly. You make it run rich because it can't get enough air, it's got too much fuel, and they took the air filter out. So I use a real nice light foam. Now I don't oil this foam because I'm going to be tilling and cultivating in the wet weather, and stuff is damp, the soil is going to be damp, but if I were using it in dry weather, I'd put some light oil in it so it'd catch the dust. So that's something that caused a lot of people grief with these, is the thing not running properly because of these air filters. So I'll show you a couple of features here, be right back. Okay, well the first thing you can see here is the tines on here have absolutely no wear on them. They get a little dirt and a little bit of surface rust, but the more I use it, the rust will disappear. But these are a cultivator and a tiller both. So with the tines forward like this, it's a tiller, and if you want to make it into a cultivator, you just take this off, turn it around, put this back on, and that way you can do furrows with it. But anyway, that's just a slick little feature of them. Somebody had to put a lot of forethought into this. So anyway, I would recommend these. There's other little tillers on the market too. I think Mantis was probably the first to come out and really took over the market, and then Echo actually makes one, and Honda and others, but these are probably as good as you can get for the money. And you know, in vintage days they didn't really have little bitty tillers like this, but the most common one is a Mary tiller. Was made in Washington State, and instead of tines like this, they had just round bars sticking out, and you could narrow them up and stuff. And I actually have one. I'll dig it out sometime and show you, but not nearly as slick as this. So once in a while, something that's not vintage is good. So anyway, we'll see you on the next exciting vintage video, even without some vintage stuff in it.